Would you like to support Cubs Out Loud? One way is to join us over on Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, patrons get early access to our shows, the pre- and post-show, and various other rewards. You can learn more at patreon.com/CubsOutLoud. Thanks to all our patrons for their support in making this podcast. It's Sunday, April 26th, 2026. I'm Jeff.
Who's your bear? That's right. I am your bear.
I'm Damon.
I don't brew the tea, I just serve it.
That makes me Gary.
Everyone else is thinking it, and I just say it.
Welcome to Cubs Out Loud, the Bear Podcast of Indeterminate Length, episode number 822. Guess what, folks? Time for this again.
Let's talk about sex.
Although I really, last second, so we didn't have time to do it, I did want to start this segment with Dirty Talk. Boom, boom. If anybody gets that, well, you either listen to the start of the show or you're old.
Or both. Or both.
Or both, yeah. You could be both. Both is good.
Callbacks.
Gary,
Mm-hmm.
where did this come from?
I don't have an answer to that. But as a non sequitur, hey, do you know what it was 6 days ago?
Earth Day?
420. It was 420.
No. Oh, yeah.
It's okay. I completely didn't put that together until you announced the date, and I was like, "Wait, what?" And I was like, we didn't do anything to kind of honor that, but that's okay. It was the day after the last episode, anyways. No, this one. What prompted this?
Good question, Gary.
Can you tell me what your prompt was? I want to know how you generated this.
I mean,
Porn.
that's
Does
fair.
it always start with that?
I mean, sometimes.
No, I think this one has been kind of in the back docket for a little bit. But I do think it came about from more a question of, is this still a thing? So, hey kids, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About Sex. And this time we're going to talk about oral turn-ons. Not ORAL, but AURAL. As in the things you hear. Because it's about dirty talk. But it made me wondered, is dirty talk still a thing? And if it is, do the things we say in here during sexy time or leading into sexy time, or even in aftercare, improve the experience?
You're not going to like my answer.
I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to guess what your answer is, which has no relevance on whether I like it or not. I'm going to think you're going to say it doesn't matter.
I'm going to say, sure.
Okay.
See what I mean?
End of episode.
Sure.
So in other words, it doesn't matter to you. It doesn't have a priority, isn't a requirement.
I mean, I think one of the reasons why, or part of the reasons why it's not high importance to me, is I'm bad at it. I'm awful. I'm one
But you
of
don't
the-
have to be
I'm most
the one
silent
giving.
fuck.
You can receive.
It's like I need somebody. I need a partner who is very verbal
Uh,
to really tell me or to help me experience it better, because I don't think I've ever really had that talkative of or dirty talkative type of person. I've had different types of, like, where we were talking during it, but like I remember one time, I don't know why it happened. I don't remember why, but this guy was giving me a blowjob and just somehow I got into giggle fits. He had to stop. It's like, you can just stop giggling.
oh no.
And I don't know
So
why. I
you got
just couldn't stop.
you got into an awkward moment where I don't. Sometimes your body is reacting in a way that you don't necessarily understand, but it's doing it, and you can't stop it. So you just kind of have to let it ride out. And it's always weird when it's with someone else, especially when it's something like this, like a spasm, like, oh fuck, like, you hurt yourself, you can like take a break and like relax a muscle, but this isn't a muscle per se. This is probably mental. um
Yeah. I also have had times where we just like I'm laying down, he's between my legs, and he's just like giving me a hand job, and we just start talking about something else.
with just a general like a conversation about the weather, like,
Oh, I
or
don't
the
think it
day,
was
or
specifically about the weather. Maybe even we
I'm just
talked a little bit about sex or something. I don't remember. It was a while ago, so I don't remember the
mm,
specifics. But it was like, I wouldn't necessarily call it a dirty talk. Like, we weren't trying to stimulate things or anything. It's just like, oh, do you know about this, that, that? I don't know. And it could have been something that was related to sex, but I don't know.
so yeah, so I think there's a
It was more of a, it wasn't to me falling into the category of dirty talk, but more of, we were having a conversation possibly about us having sex, but it's more of like discussing what was happening than it
right.
was trying to, yeah, you like that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it starts to beg the question, like what the definition of dirty talk is, or what we consider dirty talk. Like, because some might presume that it's only what gets said in the moment, like to specifically elicit a certain response. But I don't know if that's always true.
Yeah. So thanks, AI. Dirty talk is the use of sexually explicit, suggestive, or profane language during intimacy to increase arousal, build anticipation, and enhance pleasure between partners. It acts as a form of verbal intimacy that can range from soft, encouraging phrases to graphic descriptions of sexual acts or fantasies, often utilized to deepen emotional and physical connection. You're welcome. There's the definition. It actually does it have an article? Oh, how to talk dirty. 7 tips for improving your dirty talk. Interesting. It's a master class article.
Wait a minute, wait a minute.
That's interesting.
Isn't that like one of those learning sites
Mm-hmm.
where you take
Apparently
classes
it is.
from some
I mean,
instructor?
this was written by, this was on masterclass.com. And it is in their wellness area. This is a almost 5-year-old article, but it's there. I mean, this is again AI. Grabs things from everywhere. Like there's a this what I read has 5, excuse me, websites that it grabbed stuff from.
Right.
So, you're
So it's
using-
difficult to gauge like what
Mhm.
what is from where necessarily. No, I get
Yeah.
it. That makes sense. I mean, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think it's different things for different people. Like I know sometimes what is it in comedies? Like the man will say things to turn on a woman, like, and it's done like in a comedic style, like, you know what I did for you? I did the dishes. Like, right, and then she just
Yeah.
starts coming unhinged.
Yeah. It's weird. Like sometimes I think dirty talk is it's how do I put this? I am I want it to be more natural than anything else. So when I'm like if we're doing things and you're groaning and moaning and all that stuff and that's kind of more what I enjoy. What I hate is when things are forced. What I dislike, let me rephrase, is what I when words or phrases are you're trying to force something that is not coming out of you naturally in a way. Like you're just saying something for lack of a better phrase, you're saying something because you heard it in a porn. You're saying things that you think will get a rise out of me, but if I can tell it's fake, I'm not as engaged. Now, if you are a great actor, then it's going to potentially be um, easier for me to get into it, and it also depends on the vibe, what we're doing. Um, from the um, dom sub kind of things, I want a um, dom that is vocal in a way. I want you to tell me like you're enjoying this. I want you to indicate. Get like Jeff was saying, I want someone to give me directions. I want someone to talk about what's going on, so that if I'm subbing for you, I know that I'm doing a good job. And yes, sometimes that is just the occasional groan, depending on what we're doing. But communication is, especially in those kind of situations, very important. So is that dirty talk or is that just communication?
I think it's responsible as responsible sexual communication.
Yes.
Because dirty talk, like the definition that you said, is more about enhancement.
Mm-hmm.
So while you're doing something to make somebody feel good, vocalizing, I'm not going to say talking specifically, vocalizing, in vocalizing can work in different ways. So and it can come from both sides. Like hearing a groan or a moan or a growl, that sort of thing. I think that's more of my style. I'm not necessarily good, like general communicator like that. Talking your way through what you're doing, just in that deep baritone voice. Me sliding inside you. Yeah, it's good. Uh,
We're all kind of like waiting for you to finish. Like,
Yeah, I
But
wasn't even finishing. I was just like hitting someone having their prostate hit. A little tweak of the nipple
anyway,
for those who are nipply inclined.
right. I mean, I agree that like my thoughts are like context is important. There's a time and a place, and I agree that a conversation doesn't necessarily seem to be all that interesting to me. But again, it really kind of depends
mhm,
because if I'm with somebody and like there's, it's flirty, it's fun, it's whatever. Like the environment, the atmosphere, if there's an audience, meaning there's other people around, like those
mhm,
are all factors as well because what you're into contributes to I think like your ability to be receptive or turned on. So if you're kind of into public stuff, whether it's observing or being observed or both, those can be like triggers within the context of, some verbal stimulation. If you're
mhm,
a person who receives, you might find it sexy or hot to have a person who's, more dominant than you just whisper in your ear and be like,
mhm.
like, and and it could kind of come out of nowhere. Like it could be not precipitated by anything at all, or it could be a part of like a whole flirty exchange, like,
Mhm.
touching each other, rubbing a shoulder, like who knows? Um, it could be that, someone gives you a hug and whispers something in your ear or says something. Like you just kind of don't know that portion of it. But I
Yeah.
do think, like we talk about when it comes to intimacy, like consent is key. Dirty talk can be like kind of like a foreplay, like preface
Mhm.
into things. And if you don't know the other person, there is a little bit of a gamble
Right.
in initiating something because you don't know how they're going to receive it. But if you've gotten to know them, like, I don't know, you have a parasocial relationship with because you discovered them online and now you've been stalking them, then perhaps you know what they're interested in because they've talked about it in hundreds of episodes on a podcast or posted on their Instagram in, or threads or reels or who knows. Like there's different ways you could have, kind of come up with this context of stuff, or
Right.
you've seen them in a lot of videos, in film, in production. And so you've manufactured this idea, this construct of who they are and what they're into. Um, could be real, could not be. So there's a bit of a,
Yeah.
I don't like saying gamble, but an unknown to that.
I
Right.
also think like how do I say this? I want to say something like intonation, but that's not entirely it. Um,
Mhm.
the way somebody says is talking to you. So like you could have an entire communicative like semi discussion. Like it's um like when you're pre pre sex phase, the two guys meet at a bar
Mhm.
and they're flirting essentially uh, and talking, but then you go from the casual discussions to the like sultry speaking and being like, oh, I don't know. You want to go back to my place? I've got some uh, um, I can't do it because I don't know.
I get what you're saying. What you're trying to get at is
Right.
it,
You
it can be
know,
very
I got I got lubes and condoms at home. Where we're going, we don't need. lube.
See, that's where my
The problem with this thing is every time I want to say something to make it dirty talkish, I get closer to the mic. Start wanting to do an ASMR sort of thing.
Right. But that's
and
important though. 'Cause I was just thinking about that. We've all been doing that sort of like, during this episode alone. I guess that I begs the question: is there such a thing as out loud dirty talk, as opposed to just that sultry whisper, kind of thing?
I think that can happen. Like, and I will say that in the right situation, when things are getting heated, verbal and going, like in the middle, things can start getting louder. Yeah, you like that? Huh? You like that? That, I mean, not to say that that's something that I'm into or any of us are necessarily into. I don't know entirely, but I could see somebody being into that as something like happening. Louder, non-sultry, or louder yet sultry. I don't know. I'm just not a very verbal person when it comes to
I'm looking at this, and I do think it can be, I don't want to say loud, but again, depending on the situation, like I go to the BDSM leather culture / like Dom sub, you would probably see more vocal dirty talk in those kind of situations because that person wants to make sure that you know what they want. Like the Dom wants to know what they want, what they want their sub to do, or they want their submissive to do. They want them to know, so they may not do the like close in gravelly like low talk, or they can in depending on the scene. But maybe it starts with that foreplay conversation, like we can talk about consent, like that sort of conversation about it. Because I'm reading this again, this master class article. It's actually pretty darn good. Because it talks about things like examples, and it gives 3 examples, and one of them is descriptions of events. So like, it says, "I am so turned on right now. I like when you kiss my neck, or you look so sexy." Can be immensely stimulating to for your partner. Like, depending on how you're saying those things, can usually initiate a response. Sometimes it can be that low, like, "I'm so turned on right now," or "I'm so turned on right now."
Right.
Yeah. So again, it
tone, the way you say things versus necessarily what you say.
Yeah, like you were saying, you used the word intonation, and you weren't thinking that was the right word, but in a way, it can be.
It's
Intonation is
like
is
it's part of it.
key. Yeah, it can be part of it.
It's part
for
of
sure.
it. That's why I'm like, that's not the right word, because I'm trying to get a more broader definition.
Yeah.
Well, so I find it interesting. I added a link for, of all things, JordanGrayConsulting.com, who's apparently a relationship coach. This is over 10 years old, but it's an online article called Dirty Talk, the Ultimate Guide for Beginners, with 116 examples. And it kind of talks about some guidelines. What I find interesting, though, is then it goes into talking about, like, if you feel really terrified or scared, you could try it via text. Like, you could use a written form of communication as opposed to saying it out loud if that's a concern. And then it goes on to describe 3 different levels: beginner, intermediate, and advanced, which I think it helps categorize things or contextualizes stuff for folks that are new to it. And I think that's really helpful. To the beginner is, kind of descriptive but lead in. So I think that's helpful. Intermediate obviously moves things along a little bit further, and then the advanced is the explicit. So when you think about it like that, you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Now, to be fair, this article is written from a heteronormative perspective, but you can modify some of that.
I just realized that apparently I'm censored, so I can't say any too explicit things.
What are you talking
Why?
about?
It's censored right there. In
You're
blue.
talking about that overlay graphic image. I'm like, you keep pointing up, and on my end, David's right above you, and I'm like, I don't understand why you're like. And then I was like, is there a flashing light? Like, I don't. Huh? What?
I'm not talking about the audience. I'm censored.
I'm sitting here like
I apparently can't say anything too dirty. I need to plead myself.
I was sitting here looking at your like, are you talking about something in your like in your apartment? Because you kept
Right,
pointing up and it's like, is something going on? Is your neighbor? Is there a fire alarm? What?
No, I'm just censored. I gotta. I'm sorry, Gary. I'll need to make sure. I mean, in some sense, so is Damon, but it's not a balloon, so it's just like a pennant. So I suppose he's not censored, but apparently.
But my thoughts are.
No, it's not a thought balloon either. It's I got a speech balloon. You just got a flag of some sort.
So wait, what I'm getting out of all of this is that, like, charades is probably not an effective form of dirty talk. Like, that's. See, that's explicit. That's not really like leading into anything. For those that are not watching the video, you are missing all this pantomime for my two co-hosts in the explicitness of what you're describing. Anyways.
Yeah, so
Anyway.
I can't say anymore. So I just have I just can't say. I'm trying to dual mute me just in case I don't hit the button fast enough.
You could just say fuck.
I mean, I think you can do some searches online.
Did you
Obviously,
hear that?
like we found articles. I think there's some lists that you can find of phrases to kind of help you think about the context of stuff. I also think it's interesting. I'm looking at one from badgirlsbible.com, which I think is a site we might have listed before. But there's some that are kind of kink related, like, would you discipline me if I was acting bratty? So, like, I can understand, like, the lead in of things. I feel so horny and helpless when you dominate me. So that's like about a DS relationship and kind of that aspect of things. I get that.
I think it's interesting. And then the kind of like for me, my as I was saying, my usual thing with most dirty talk is I like it to be more natural in a way. Like it comes out naturally. Too much rehearsal makes it feel like a porn. And then for me the worst dirty talk is someone that wants you to respond or needs you to respond. Jeff kind of like hit it earlier in the episode about he just wants someone to kind of like talk to him so he doesn't have to. I can sometimes be that way where I really am more focused on what's happening and what's going on. I don't really need a guided tour of what's going on in a way. I don't need you to tell me every little intimate detail and everything that's going on. I know what's happening. I'm right there. Like, because I've had situations where I actually, let me rephrase. I've had someone, and it's been a long time, where if I had a gag, I would have gagged them because they just kept talking, and I think that they were thinking it was sexy and dirty and like, oh, what are you going to do to me kind of thing. But for me, it was just annoying because it takes sometimes it takes me out of the scene. It takes me out of the situation. It takes me out of the play when
Right.
I'm trying to listen to what you say. I don't think I'm deaf. I haven't been diagnosed, but sometimes I don't hear very well. And I may have need you to repeat something. Or if I'm in a like especially in a sexually like situation, I'm more focused on the other senses, touch,
Mhm.
taste, sometimes smell. I'm more focused on those. So sometimes I have to turn my hearing off. I don't mean I always do, but it's not as prevalent. So if you are talking to me,
Hmm.
I want to know what you're saying. So I have to focus on that, and that can be distracting.
On a side note, or alternative note, I should say, is sometimes I don't need words.
Yeah,
Like I think this is really going on what you call it dirty talk, but I don't think it necessarily needs words.
yeah,
Because getting oral confirmations if something is good or bad
Hmm.
is effective communication can be dirty, especially if it's good and they're groaning and moaning.
yeah,
That means do it more.
yeah,
And to me, that is just as sexy
yeah.
as using words and probably sexier
Hmm.
because I'm not necessarily very good with words.
Well,
Yeah,
and I think that kind of goes into like, because my other question was going to be, you know, what about just sounds in general, um, as opposed to like actual phrases or sentences? Hopefully, well, that's not fair. I was about to be an asshole and say hopefully not paragraphs and soliloquies, but maybe that's your gig. I don't know. But I get you. Like, I think all three of us are kind of in the same boat, and this is not true of everybody. I don't need you to describe things that are evident, but I will say this: if I'm like kind of in a kink-ish kinkajation or actual kink like moment, and a sense has been taken away from me,
right.
so like I can't see,
Hmm.
um, or I'm bound in a way that I can't view, then that would make sense to me why stuff's being described, because now
Right.
I need that to help me,
Yeah,
understand what's potentially happening or
and
what is unknown to me.
for certain kinks, one of the ones that comes to mind is mindfuckery. Sometimes you need the like actual like descriptions and talking and vocalizing because the whole point of the scene is to play with your brain to get you in a different state. It's very interesting. I've seen a couple of classes on mindfuckery, and that's sort of the way they do it. They take away a sense usually. Usually it's visual.
Right.
Not always, but usually it's visual. And they then do things either vocally, saying things to you in a way so that it arouses you or plays tricks with your mind. And then sometimes they add another element to add to it is more physical, like um, cold steel or the blunt of a blade to kind of play with the mind as though you may be in kind of in a bit of a danger kind of thing. It's consensually, of course, done, but that's sort of the idea behind it. And usually a part of that is aural, AURAL,
Mhm.
sound based, where you're hearing um, things happening around you. And when you're bound, maybe gagged, maybe blindfolded, maybe all three. The trick sometimes is to play with your senses to get you into this different state.
Right. No, I think that makes sense. I think for most people it would make sense in the context of the time and the moment.
Right.
And more importantly, what is the desired outcome? So if it's incongruent, which is to mean like it's not time and place making sense, maybe it's about later. Like it's an anticipation move or moment that,
Yeah.
Perhaps you and the other individual are out at an event. Maybe you're at an awards dinner, or you've gone out to see, a theatrical production because you need to support queer art. There's like a time and a place, and maybe it doesn't make sense, but maybe they lean over and say something to you that doesn't make any sense in and where the moment you are, nor the audience, but they are, I guess, opening the door or letting you be aware of how they're feeling for the future. And it could also be good, like, feedback afterwards, to touch base with an individual and to let them know, within minutes, hours, days, week, could be even months or longer, to remind someone of time together and how that affects you in the now. I would hope that it's done with a positive intention, as in, to pay the compliment or to give the impression that repeat is perfectly acceptable.
I think if you're talking dirty to somebody, like dirty or post-sex dirty, that it probably means you had a good time and
Yeah.
are open to doing it again.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, if you didn't have a good time, I don't think you're going to be talking dirty to that person.
Probably just getting out or stressing someone out. Oh, it's so great. Okay, all right.
No, I mean,
See you
like
later.
post.
Yeah.
One person has already gone away. Not just post coital.
Right. I mean, I really do think like there's a concept, but I also realize that, as I was about to say, there's a place and time, but I also realize like for some people that may not be easy to understand or to know. And that's due to several factors. Like I think from time to time about how individuals will say things that really kind of seem to come from out of left field, or they may mean it in humor, but it isn't received that way because it's not understood. Perhaps they have a dry sense of humor, or the way they state something is 50-50. It's like, are they saying this because they're upset? Are they saying this because like they're happy? Are they saying this because they think it's something that I need to hear, want to hear? Like, and again, like the headspace of the recipient of hearing things is also a factor. Because
Right.
I will fully admit, there are times and places and moments in my life I am not going to have it. Like that is not a thing. Please do not be doing that. And it's
Yeah.
probably because I'm stressed, anxious, like really in a certain headspace that it's not gonna reach me the way desired. And that can be difficult for the person that's giving, the message, because they might, one, not know that, or two, um, be understanding. Because sometimes our mental state is very silent to the outside world, but it's very like loud internally, so it's difficult for anybody else to know how we're feeling or what's going on in that context.
Yeah.
I would say that I think that it's not. It just occurred to me because I think the apps, like the online platforms, have built this in, but I also wonder how well it works. As in, like, statistically, is it really a good functioning piece of your platform to have these template things in there? And the reason why is, like, sometimes I think they put it in because they think it's fun, or they think it gives people like a breadcrumb opportunity to start a conversation or to lead into something. And then at the same time, I'm like, yes, but it's also just a canned statement. So
Right.
to me, getting a specific statement to come up, that gets sent because it's what you've prefaced or already built into your platform is just as equivalent as like, what's up? You know what I mean? It's like there's nothing behind it.
Problem is when you actually want to say those exact words.
Right.
I mean, they may, and I don't know what's on the apps nowadays. I haven't been on the apps in forever. But if one of the things that they've figured out in some weird way or shape or form is like, hey, people commonly say this. So we're just going to put this as instead of having to type the whole sentence, you can just click a button. And it might be exactly what people are feeling. It depends on what they have, obviously. But, and especially if they have a bunch of different options. It's like an emoji.
I don't know. I often feel, I know I keep saying it, I'm going to keep saying it again. I feel like dirty talking is best when it's natural. But I also know that some people, we've talked about it ourselves, are not the greatest at being um, speakers of dirty talk or sometimes any talk. Um, so I'm fine with like practicing and using prepared statements or something along those lines. I think the flip of the problem with that is if that's all you say. Like
Right.
we've all seen like the porn where the actor is like repeating the same thing over and over and over again, and you're kind of like, I need you to shut up because again, it takes me out of the mood. It takes me out of what's going on. It takes me um it brings me down. I'll put it like that. Kind of like, please shut up. Our like just just say nothing. Just groan. Just moan. Do you need help with that? like, like we were talking in pre-show. Like put the thing in the mouth.
Are we learning here that Damon doesn't like talking while having sex?
I
Except for those
don't
moments where you
mind.
need to do specific instructions. Hey, turn over.
Wow. I don't mind talking. I don't mind it.
You
I
just
just
don't
don't want it
want
to
people
be
to use
forced.
words when they're enjoying something.
I don't want it to be forced. That's the main thing. I don't want you to feel like you have to do it in order for me to be into it. And on that same token, I'm usually not one that will do it just to do it. Like it's going to come out of me in certain situations depending on what's going on.
Right.
Um,
That might be even some of the reactions that some people would have. It
yeah,
really depends on the person.
yeah.
Uh,
Like
so somebody may start like just naturally just like if they're bottoming and they're really enjoying it, starting to yeah fuck me, oh yeah fuck me, oh fuck I love that fuck, and you're like, that is so stereotypically porn, but
but for
that's just
me,
their natural reaction to it.
there's a difference to me. That's the difference. Like,
Mm,
and it starts turning to get meta in a way. Are you doing that because you're actively actually feeling that way and you want that encourage that top to keep doing it? Are you doing it because you've seen it in the porn and you think that's what you need to do to get the top to really give it to you? That's for me the crux.
What if they sound the same?
That's the thing. It can sound the same. I'm
And
just
then, and then,
saying
and then do you like all of a sudden just stop and be like, are you saying that naturally or because you've watched it in porn?
no, I don't stop mid thing. And I mean, if it's getting fucking annoying, I may stop, but most of the time I just let it ride. Um, I can block it out in a way. If it's getting to be, again, painfully obvious that this is you trying to make something happen, um, then yeah. But if it's just your like, again, if it's your natural reaction and you're just kind of going to repeat the same thing over and over again, cool. I may hesitate to have you over another time without some kind of conversation. I had a guy that pretty much was saying a lot of the same things over and over and over and over and over again
Hmm.
to the point where we not it was he wanted to come over again and I was kind of like say, hey, I appreciate, but we need to talk about we need to talk about your talking because sometimes I just it and I told him point blank, like the way that you are talking when doing things doesn't really get me going. It doesn't really. I don't really enjoy it. I don't like it. And I mean, if you feel you need to do it, then we can try to work something out. Or what usually happens is they get upset and get mad, and I'm complaining and move on.
Mm.
Or we're not a good match. Okay, cool. That's fine.
Yeah, I think it's important that you have that, you know, conversation with the other person, and that it's, you know, I don't know how to say it, like a good outcome,
Hmm.
like that both parties are receptive, they're actually listening to understand, and wanting to make things better.
Yeah.
It is a skill and a likability. Like
Yeah, and I
it's a
think
skill to be a good dirty talker. But if the person receiving the dirty talk doesn't find that enjoyable, that can cause a uh, uh, incompatibility.
Right.
and I think there's no real way to know until you're in the moment, or you have the conversation ahead of time, or you know that that's something that they're interested in, or they automatically tell you right off the bat.
Mhm.
um I really like it when someone does this, does that, whatever the case may be. um
Yeah.
but yeah, I would say, to Damon's point, that some people do kind of build a script, and it's not necessarily a very in-depth one. um Hence the rinse and repeat happens often. I've already
Right.
talked about it, I think, a couple of times on the podcast. I don't remember which episodes. About the now infamous situation at a certain campground in a play space where now I feel triggered if I'm ever around somebody that like behaves in such a way again. And not that it's bad. It was just they only had like 2 or 3 lines. That was it. And that,
Rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat.
yes, yes, yes. And like at first it's kind of hot. But after about the 10th, 20th, like
You,
you're
you,
just like, okay.
you got to learn that okay, so you may have like you need to expand your dirty vocabulary, right? And you need to make sure you're not like just playing a loop. You gotta like if you're saying something, you kind of think of it in comedy terms because I think this is actually probably a good rule. Is in comedy, threes and fives are funny. So in sex, you could say if you're saying something over and over again more than 3 times in a row, you're doing something wrong. You need to vary it up. Like if you say it and then like you do a couple other things and then you say the same thing again, maybe hopefully because you're really enjoying your experience, that might be fine. But don't do that same sequence over and over again. You need to vary it up, put things in different orders, maybe repeat one thing a couple times and then switch to something else and switch back. You have to do it in a more natural way. So you need to expand your vocabulary, a couple of these little bits and pieces that you just throw out randomly. It shouldn't really be together as that often. If it is, if you say it 3 times, do it 3 times in a row, you're gonna have to switch gears right away. Otherwise, you might turn somebody off. 5 times maybe if it's like uh, but usually that's because you're reacting to the fact that you're being hit in the prostate a few times or something. Or you're in motion and things are slapping against each other a couple times and you're just enjoying the moment. I think the groans can sometimes be fine, but there has to be like going with rhythm of something. So it's less of talking, but just verbalizing while you're a little bit. Intonation, like don't say it the same way multiple times in a row. Oh, that feels good. Oh,
Okay.
that sort of thing. That sounds much better than like, oh, that feels good. Oh, that feels good. Oh, that feels good. That's the same thing all the way in the road. Just gotta sometimes your brain ends up shutting off and things become automatic, and that may be a problem. You need to train yourself to at least vary things up.
I think the idea of dirty talk can be very intimidating for people that
Mhm.
haven't ever done it or have like had very minimal experiences with it. That's natural. It's like anything you've not really done before or done much of. Obviously practicing it can be helpful to like make it more natural. But the practice part is probably where you might feel there's a challenge because who are you going to find to practice with? But you don't necessarily have to say or do that with another individual. You can
Right.
technically, give yourself affirmations and say things out loud when you're having your own personal intimate time. Doesn't necessarily have to be with a partner to make that seem more natural, especially if you want to use it as an affirmation to the other person. So, like, if we'll put it this way, if you're pleasuring yourself and you want the other person to know that that's what you enjoy, that's a way that you can practice and be like, yes, I really like that, or I appreciate this, or try this, and all of that is still within that realm, even though it might seem instructional and not so much like an affirmation or an encouragement. That's okay. Like
Mm-hmm.
we've talked about it many a time in this series. Like if you don't communicate something, then the other person doesn't know, and that in and of itself is challenging because sometimes you can be overstimulated and find it difficult to verbalize or to say things. So it can be I don't want to say a challenge, but a notable moment of adjustment, especially if with you're another person and they want you to verbalize and that's not something you can really do in that
Right.
moment. I think it's important to have a conversation about that.
Hmm.
Maybe not right there in that moment, but afterwards explaining, like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry I didn't say or do anything. I short circuited.
Right.
Or, whatever provides some insight as to what was happening with you so that they don't question whether or not you actually
Right.
enjoyed or appreciated whatever the case
No.
is.
Yeah. I think sometimes it's best, like if you know you have a tendency to not be very vocal, and if that's something that your partner is wanting or needing, then explain that. Like, I'm not always verbal, but I may be able to provide feedback, for lack of a better phrase, in a different way. Um, you know, but I will also tell you when I will also inform you in some way if I'm not enjoying something, or if I'm not feeling something, then I can let you know, and maybe we have a conversation. Obviously, I would love a conversation afterwards, but if we're just in a moment and just enjoying the situation, and I'm usually not very vocal, um, I'm gonna hopefully I would hope that you would try to explain that if that's something that they're especially expecting. Like, I would if someone is wanting me to be more vocal, I've had like this in the past. I know I'm going to probably tell them, hey, just so you're aware, I'm usually not very vocal on certain things, in certain scenes or certain things. If that's not something that you will find stimulating, then maybe we shouldn't do this. And that's
Right.
okay.
Or like to that point, Damon, like to kind of add on to it, if I don't like maybe give them the context of understanding, like I won't necessarily verbalize or like say things out loud in terms of pleasure, but I will give you feedback if things are not enjoyable. So that way they understand, like, as long as you aren't like putting on the brakes or giving a capacity to stop, change, whatever, things are okay. And that can be incredibly helpful, I would think, to the partner so that they understand, this contextually is not that I'm doing things wrong or that
Right.
things aren't enjoyable. It may be different. And that's, I think, a key piece of communication. Like, I'm thinking about individuals who are on the autism spectrum
Mm,
and can be sexual and intimate and yet might not have like the experience or the the vocabulary or communication style to explain what is happening. But that's also where you can do other things. I know this isn't quite necessarily dirty talk, but like you can do gestures. You can like use indications of some kind. So like this sounds kind of complicated, but I was just thinking, like, what if you had like three hankies and one was red and one was goldenrod and one was hunter green, like, and in the midst of something, right, right, like you gesture towards one and don't put them literally right next to each other. That's obviously too confusing. Like if you put one on one bedpost and one on the other, you know what I mean? Like an opposite style, right? Then you can
yeah.
kind of gesture or reference or whatever, um,
Yeah.
in a certain way.
I know when if I'm doing demos in like a bar scene or an event, I try to make sure that there's some sort of visual cue, because most of the time, depending on the bar, I'm not going to hear you, because if the
Right.
music's too loud or what have you, I'm going to need something beyond you saying red or green or stop or don't or um what was I going to say? I'm also going to need more because if you react in a way, I will hopefully like understand and recognize your body language if you're not enjoying something. But sometimes I miscue that. But if you can give me some kind of like visual stimulation, visual notification that you're not liking something, is usually better, especially in a loud bar kind of interface.
Well, right, and depending on like the circumstances, you could possibly use like hand gestures, and it doesn't even really have to be like a full like arm movement. You could just do certain finger positions.
Yeah.
So like an open hand means things are fine. A closed fist means things are not good. Middle finger obviously has a very specific like context. Like so like there's a time and a place. You could do things as a countdown.
Tap out.
Right. So there's different ways to do that, but you can also do that with. I just realized like within the context of another individual. Like, so if you're being intimate with them, you can use the sensation of touch as a way to communicate to another person, what that is.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be said aloud, but it is another form of communication in that moment. So yeah. I hope that folks find that insightful.
Okay, so we were talking about rehearsing.
Mm-hmm.
So I incline to question of, okay, so let's say we don't want to do this with a person necessarily. I got some recommendations for you. Thanks, Gemini.
Oh no.
Lovescape. It focuses on authentic boyfriend energy, emotional depth, romance, and nuanced role play, rather than just immediate spiciness. Joy, Joi AI. It's known for having a personality core that's explicitly LGBTQ plus inclusive. It doesn't just feel like a female bot with pronouns swapped. It actually adapts to a flow of gay dynamics, apparently. There's Janitor AI and Spicy Chat, where it says, these are the Wild West. You'll find thousands of user-created male-led or MLM, man-loving man, bots here. Find everything from grumpy bear neighbor to mafia boss husband to regular guy at the bar. And Nomi AI, Nomi, it's a mostly responsive voice chat with believable male intonation. So if you want to practice, but not with a person, well, guess what? Nowadays there are AI bots that can help out.
Imagine that technology coming to the assistance yet again. Back to the whole grumpy bear neighbor thing.
I love how that's what you grabbed from that.
Well, no, because immediately I was like, is he grumpy because he needs to get off? Like, is that what this context is about? I have questions. I'm curious.
Well, that's part of the gender AI and spicy chat. I think it must be gender AI is the general thing, and then the specific one they're talking about is spicy chat. Oh, doesn't provide a link to it.
Uh-oh. Are you grabbing a link?
I'm trying to see if I can find it.
Oh, wow.
Spicychat.ai.
I mean, it kind of sounds to me like the context of a beginning of a good porn scene thing. So, anyways.
I want to see if I can narrow this down. Can I get it in? Trying to see if I can figure this out. Oh, here we go. Bear. Jake the Bear. Male dominant, gentle dom. Oh, there's an officer bear. A carrying alpha gay cop.
Wow. This is... Oh, you can actually put a not safe for work. Hold on. Oh, got it. There you go. You have to create an account in order to do that. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet.
I mean, you can start by the safer work stuff just to test it out, and not get. Oh, there's also Disco Bear, which is one of the main characters from Happy Tree Friends. I don't think that's what we're looking for, especially not Happy Tree Friends. I don't know how long it's been since the last Happy Tree Friends, and if you haven't seen
my
Happy Tree
gosh.
Friends,
Don't.
go ahead and search. It's weird.
Well,
Oh, mature male chubby bear. One genuine trucker. Reserved, hardworking man who is strict but also caring and gentle in nature. Oh, there's a Macro Minnesota Twins mascot, TC Bear.
For
Sorry,
everybody out
rabbit
there
hole.
that's like watching or listening, you are now seeing literally in real time what's called the rabbit hole effect.
True that.
Anyways,
And that's not to be confused with the rabbit holes in the furry realm. Just
Are we
not
done?
that type of rabbit hole.
Are you finished? Did you get what you wanted?
I stopped.
Are you satisfied? Well,
At the end.
are you?
It's at the end.
That's the end.
Okay, there's plenty of ways to contact us. Talk dirty to us. You can do that in plenty of ways by going to our website, comesoutloud.com. Shoot us an email, comesoutloud@gmail.com. Leave us a dirty voicemail at 361-COL Talk. That's 361-265-8255. Follow us on Blue Sky, Facebook, Tumblr, and YouTube. That comes out loud, the appropriate place in the URL. Join our entourage chat and Telegram at bit.ly/telegram-col. You can find out when we're planning and recording these shows by checking out our Google Calendar at bit.ly/calendar-col. You can get various accoutrements over at Zazzle, zazzle.com/comesoutloud, such as my foreplay shirts and various different styles, logo shirts, blah, 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 blah. Zazzle.com/comesoutloud. Some of this designs were designed by Smashy. You can find more of his work at tpublic.com/user/SmashYouTheBear. You can also support us by going to Patreon at patreon.com/comesoutloud or send us a donation at paypal.me/comesoutloud. Find us on the various podcasting platforms, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, etc. You can find me on the internet as Box Cub, as well as check out my story up at bit.ly/matchstoryAO3. David.
If you wish to get in touch with me, you can find me as TheaterCub79. That's TheaterCub79 on most favorite related sites. Find me as Pup_79 on Blue Sky. That Blue Sky is not safe for work. For safe for work stuff, you can go to DMAGamer79 on Blue Sky or TikTok. Gary?
if you would like to get in touch with me, you can pretty much find me anywhere online as Gabber73. And if you found me through the podcast, you should probably lead with that.
That's a good idea. How about that? Say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Hopefully that was you.